we're recording.
Yes, we are recording indeed. Hello.
Hello.
Sorry we took a week off. Stuff happened.
Yes.
And we will be taking another break after this episode due to important projects in my life taking a front seat.
Yeah. As I say, do you want to tell the people what your project is, or?
It's my dissertation at university, if you know what that is.
Ooh.
It's a play that I'm performing, and I have to do it next week. We're recording this episode on the 21st of March, and I have to perform it on the 29th. And then after that, I'm going to be going away on holiday. So, yeah, we won't have much time to really sit down and talk Taskmaster.
Yeah,
so,
where are you going this time? Are you going on
Spain.
On the slow bus to Spain instead of the slow bus to China? Or Croatia? You went to Croatia last time.
Yeah. Why would we take a bus to China?
Okay, first of all, it's a common figure of speech, and also you could. Apparently, airplanes do not exist in your travel plans.
Well, I think they just want to take the cheapest mode of transport possible.
Ryanair will get you there for £3 and then call you slurs at the same time.
You've been watching a lot of Mock the Week, haven't you?
I mean, Ryanair's noted lack of customer service is available at many different is not just Mock the Week fodder. But yes, also ripped Mock the Week.
Shall we talk Taskmaster?
Yes, we shall.
Taskmaster Series 7, Episode 5.
Well,
a lot of soup.
There have also been Taskmaster news announcements as well.
Oh yes.
So they did. So during a recent AMA on Reddit, Alex Horn did reveal that Taskmaster, which let us remind everyone that Taskmaster is only currently in season 15, has been approved up to season 21, which is quite a large order for a series, which is I'm very impressed with.
Well, I think surely the decision to move it to Channel 4 was a good one.
Surely they will have run out of contestants at some point.
Well, that's how many contestants is that? That's 30 more contestants. Sure, you can cherry pick some.
Yeah, yes, most likely they will. That does mean that some people have pointed out we're getting closer and closer to champion of champions. And then other news is that we are getting Junior Taskmaster on Channel 4.
There's kids between the ages of 9 and 11.
Yeah, and there will be new hosts, not said who. And what else?
I assume it'll obviously be shown earlier in the day.
Yeah, and then
I don't think it'll be like an ongoing series with the same 5 kids. I think they'd have like one episode for one group of 5. Maybe not even 5. There might be 4 or something. But it'll be probably like one episode with one group of kids, and the next episode will be an entirely different group.
Yeah. No, I can't think of who else would be doing this, but
I could see a previous Taskmaster contestant being the Taskmaster. It doesn't make sense to not have Alex Horn as the Taskmaster's assistant, in my opinion.
That's true. I remembered what else I was going to say. I saw this on Reddit again, because it was in the Reddit AMA, and people were posting links to Mark Watson's Twitter account where he wanted, like, obviously Alex said he doesn't want to do...
I think I saw this, runner-up of runners-up.
He didn't, because Alex doesn't want to do, like, champion of losers, but Mark Watson's like, what if we had, like, a champion of the runners-up, like a bunch of
runners-up of the runners-up, and you had to compete to come second.
Yes, of the second-place finishers of each season.
That's quite interesting, because it it means you play the game differently. Because if it's like a loser of losers and the goal was to come last, that'd be so easy it'd be boring.
Well, I would almost want the loser of losers to just be like the hardest. Like they have to win, but they're all incompetent.
Yeah, but it's called a loser of losers. A champion of losers is what you're thinking.
Champion of losers is what I would want.
I think the runners-up of runners-up idea is quite interesting because it completely changes the way you'd play the game. Instead of trying to be the best, you have to think, okay, I don't want to be the best, but I don't want to be the worst either. It's like, what they have tasks that say draw the median duck or the second longest snake.
Actually, they are doing something similar to this for Stormester. Actually, it's called Another Chance, which is like a 4-episode mini-season featuring previous contestants who are being given a chance to redeem themselves. That's coming out.
It's just having a drink.
That's coming out sometime in early 2023. Then other Taskmaster news. Director
Atle
Sevmira
Antonsen has been.
Oh, I was gonna say, Director Sevmira is getting a season 2. It's going to air sometime.
No,
soon.
I have the most important bit of news. And Atle Antonsen has been reinstated as the Kongen in Kongen Befala.
Really? How did that happen?
I don't know the full logistics of it, but apparently they just said they don't believe in cancelling people, and they think people deserve another chance.
Interesting, because I would have thought that oh god, I can't even pronounce his name. It's got Nordic umlauts. Bord
Jelvasaka.
Yeah, I thought that he was going to be in there full time, but can you send me a news article to that, because I haven't heard of that.
You'll have to give me a second.
Yeah. While we go through the list of I
guess this means you have to go through the prize task.
I can wait a moment because I really wanted to do task 1, or we can. You can send me this later, and that's
a better idea.
In the miracle of not being in this, not being in the podcast all the time.
All right. Yeah. In the meantime, shall we talk the Series 7, Episode 5, A Lot of Soup?
Yep.
After this, we'll be halfway through the series.
Yeah. This is This episode aired October 3rd, 2018. Is that October 3rd or is that March 3rd? Why does European dates go the other way around?
How are you getting October the 3rd confused with March the 3rd?
Because it's written on taskmaster.info as 03/10/2018. And if we're going to have one of those...
I assume it's the UK date for me. I think it'll be March 10th.
Okay.
No, not March the 10th. The 3rd of October, I think.
Yes, that is what I was thinking, because in the US, it is written month, day, year, and in the rest of the world, it's written day, month, year.
Yeah, the Series 7 aired from September to November 2018.
So October 10th, 2018. Why does the rest of the world do it wrong? The rest of the world...
You're the only country that puts them on.
I don't give a shit. You're doing it wrong.
That's what all the Americans say.
There's more of us than you. And if there's not, we'll figure it out. There
are more Europeans than Americans.
Yeah, but you're all like yelling at each other about not being each other's nationalities. The Americans are all just here.
Let's talk the prize task.
Yes.
The worst gift.
Actually, before we do that, we have to talk about Alex and Greg's banter for once, because Alex tries to do Truth or Dare, and it's actually really funny because I do not think he scripted this. Is he pulls out a dog biscuit for some reason, and it's like Truth or Dare, and then Greg takes the dog biscuit from him and goes Truth or Dare, and Alex like sits there spluttering for a second, going like, I don't know what truth. And Greg says, eat this dog biscuit. And Alex goes, that's not how it works. Dare. And Greg says, again, eat this dog biscuit. And Alex does, for some fucking reason.
Maybe it wasn't a real dog biscuit.
It looked real.
Surely it doesn't taste that bad for a human.
I don't know. Look, man, we've said this before. Alex Horn either is more invested in committing to the bit than I have ever been invested to anything in my life, or he really, really, really wants to integrate his humiliation fetish into his day-to-day existence.
Well, you know what Alex Horn's like.
I don't actually. I don't know. Because he plays the character of little Alex Horn, the assistant. But you gotta just like look at this sometimes and be like, is this an act? Is this just dedication to the craft, or are you actually doing this because you kind of enjoy it? Because I would not be doing this if I were the assistant. I would just not. Like the assistant, like if I were the assistant and someone tried to pull any of the shit that's done to him in that show, I would turn into like less horrible Lisa Lampanelli, going back to Taskmaster USA. Like I would just start
That's a throwback.
I would just start verbally abusing the people who asked me to do stupid and demeaning things. And so I cannot fathom that Alex is doing this just for the bit.
Can we progress to the prize task, please?
Yes, fine.
Okay, so the prize task is the worst gift from a relative.
A named relative.
Named relative, whatever. I have notes. Rod is first, and he's brought in a little castle ornament that Greg gave to Rod's wife, which she then gave to Rod. So basically, it's a triangle to get the castle back to Greg.
And he got that less than 2 weeks. Greg gave that less than 2 weeks ago, which led to the great line from Rod. What did you expect her to do? Treasure it?
It does look like a really bad piece
it's
of tat,
like a castle that you would put in a fish tank, except it's clearly intended to like hold tea light style candles.
It looks like the sort of thing you'd buy at a castle in like France or Germany or something.
I don't know where you'd buy this from. A strange
Jess's is
mall.
iconic. Jess's is iconic.
Yes it is.
Jess has brought in a pair of long opera gloves and a feather boa, which she was given by her to her mum to wear to a school disco when she was 14.
The senior school disco.
Senior school disco, whatever the hell. And what we've learned firsthand is that you wear long opera gloves and a feather boa, you don't get fingered at the dance.
Yes, this self-described sartorial nightmare is in fact a anti-aphrodisiac, as it turns out, although I'm sure that her best friend Nell enjoyed this much more than Jess did, because Nell apparently received the affections of Jess's paramour. And
James A, who appeared to be James Acaster, apparently.
Going with that bit.
That is probably my favorite line of the show. My wife now.
My favorite bit from this,
of this series,
is the line right before that from this whole bit about this thing is what about when where's Nell now? And Jess just goes, Nell's happy, and then James just opened up with I got this from my wife Nell, which his wife is not named Nell, in case anyone doesn't know.
He doesn't have a wife.
Like I did, because I had to Google that for a second.
You didn't know that he was joking.
Okay, listen.
That line is so good. It's so
it's
perfectly timed.
That being said, I didn't know anything about James Acaster's home life. It could, and also every time I learn something about Britain, about these people in these comedy shows, it always turns out they all went to the same Footlights Drama Academy in Upper Twaddlington on Fuckwit, and it's always like they all know each other. So it's not the worst possible leap to make, okay?
I was honestly going to suggest a title for this episode, but Upper Twaddlington might have knocked it aside.
Upper Twaddlington on Fuckwit. Yeah.
I don't think we can put fuckwit in the title.
I think we could.
Anyway, I want to get to
yes
the because we love acronyms on this channel, and I will get to that in a bit. Who's it? So
James Acaster.
James Acaster doesn't have a wife called Nell, or a wife at all. What he's brought in is a calendar made for him by his 5-year-old nephew at the time, and on the header for each month, he's written a different joke. Like, what did one broccoli say to the other? You stink because you got poo in your face.
Yeah, which is not great comedy. But also, it's not bad.
I think if James Acaster said it, it would be funny.
I was going to say,
like, if he said
not,
it in a comedy routine.
It's not bad, and actually everybody else is going like, yeah, that's not a bad gag. So who knows?
That'd be funny, though. Like, if James Acaster just delivered that joke in the middle of a set, I think it would get a laugh, because it's so him to just like say something so left field.
It's not the worst joke I've ever heard.
Yeah, that would be your life.
Oh, not mine.
No, you have to let it sit, because this is probably the part where I play the sound effect.
Yeah, I think the funniest joke I'll ever hear is, whatever experience happens to you in that fat camp in the Poconos, it's going to be an epic story of you getting almost eaten by someone.
Are you suggesting that they're so fat that they eat people?
Okay, it's rural Pennsylvania. I don't know what it's going to be like, but it's either going
Is that how hungry Americans are?
It's either going to be like Deliverance, or what was that one movie with Harrison Ford and the Amish? Or it's going to be like Deliverance or Witness or Tucker and Dale versus Evil. It's going to be one of those things, and I'm just going to have to drive to Pennsylvania to like drag you out of whatever hellhole that it's turned out to be.
Can we talk about Kerry, please?
Yes, I am. Yes.
That does not answer my question.
Why don't?
But yes.
Yes, we can. Why don't you shut up?
That's you illiterate piece of shit.
Save that.
So Kerry has brought in Dreamcatcher Yin Yang dangly earrings, according to her, gifted to her by her mum.
Oh, they're so hippy dippy.
This is the sort of thing you would wear to Woodstock or something.
This is the sort of thing that somebody would wear 30 years after Woodstock when they're trying to look hippy dippy.
That's probably a better way of putting it. There's not much to say about them.
They're just very bad.
Yeah, but not as bad as Phil, who completely misunderstood the point of the task.
I would say that Phil understood the task. He
failed the task successfully.
He did it in the exact same way that Nish Kumar did the Sudoku. He understood the task, and then he looked at all the successful ways to do it, and then did something stupid.
So, all right, fair enough.
Well,
okay.
Because he accepted this used toilet paper from his sister. Because
he asked her to get it for him, though.
Yeah, that's the first one. The first thing that I'd like to note is that he apparently does not get gifts. He asks for favors, like getting things.
That's not unreasonable.
Like getting things done for him, or getting like taxes paid, which I think is like hilarious because it's just the most boring ass thing you could possibly think of. But the worst present you could receive. He's like, can I have a used piece of toilet paper? And his sister presents it to him. It's hilarious because there's a picture of him, of Phil looking like dead inside. And his sister is like standing there almost like a goblin presenting this to them. Here you go. In her open hand. It's dumb. It's not
stupid.
And a great point is immediately made by James, which is that this is actually a great gift because he asked for it and got exactly what he asked for.
And that is the moment that Phil started his downfall in this task. And across this episode, mostly.
Oh my god, Phil's scores were so low.
And so, the scores. Phil, his gift was shit, pun not intended, but he did ask for it, so it's not really the worst gift if you wanted it, so he gets 1 point. James gets 2, Kerry 3, Rod 4, and Jess's horrific school disco getup gets 5.
And do we want to drop Taskmaster Joe here?
Sure, why not?
It's the Taskmaster and his name is Joe, and he's gonna tell us what we should know. It's Taskmaster Joe.
So, first place, I'm going to put Rod Gilbert's because
Interesting.
if this present has already been regifted thrice, it's a bad gift. And more to the point, him presenting the regifted present to the original gifter is absurd.
That's very true.
Jess's close second. Close second. It would have been first, except for the fact that even at age 14, Jess could have chosen not to wear it. Jess by choosing to wear this, it is partially complicit in her lack of sexual enjoyment that followed. So that's a second place. Kerry gets third place because those are just bad, but they're not life-alteringly bad. And then I actually am going to give Phil and James DQs because James throughout the entire segment was kind of trying not to shit on this present because it was given to him by a 5-year-old nephew. And also it was kind of good. For a 5-year-old to make this is actually incredible. So it seemed really like he brought it in more as to show it off than he did to actually do anything with it. And so it's that doesn't count. And then Phil, as James pointed out, asked for this specifically. So it's actually a great present. So
that is
DQ.
Fair enough. All right. You wanted to do this first task.
I did. This one's great. This episode actually really well done. I know that we were sort of low energy on some of the last couple episodes.
We're quite low energy here now, and this is relatively.
This one was chock-a-block with good shit.
There's a lot of stuff going on here.
So this whole episode, but this task specifically, so this one is deliver this task to Alex in the most spectacular way. Alex is in his caravan. You have 1 hour. Your time starts now. Which it goes exactly as it sounds. Alex is sitting in the caravan, and they have to deliver the tasks to him. They were in the lab, I think. So we start with Kerry Godliman, who who has this idea of doing a Busby Berkley style dance number. Which Busby Berkley, for anyone that's uninitiated, is basically either the director or the coordinator for a lot of 1940s, 1950s musicals in movies. So if you ever see any of the old done in Technicolor, or some of them might have been in black and white, big budget Hollywood films of the 40s where they're gigantic musical numbers going off all the time, that was Busby Berkley. And
Busby Berkley.
Yeah.
I wrote in my notes, what the fuck?
It's basically a
I know what it is, but I mean, it's just
okay.
Wow, if you see what I mean.
What Kerry then did not go as well as Busby Berkley's effort, because Busby Berkley did.
Is that how it goes?
Yeah, Busby Berkley has a Wikipedia segment that says groundbreaking choreographer. And he did, huge 1940s era musical numbers. And Kerry Godliman got 4 members of the staff and herself to dance around in circles as she presented Alex the task on the serving tray, which I think is actually called a cloche.
Yeah.
But It was called a cloche, and they danced around it, and there was no music. Which, I was thinking maybe bring out a boombox or play something over it because, it's clearly not all.
It was entirely a cappella.
It was entirely a cappella by Kerry and Kerry alone. It wasn't great.
Mildly shit pentatonics.
Yeah. And, I'm on Busby Berkley's Wikipedia page. Some of the song choreography some of the musical numbers he's done within films have their own Wikipedia pages. So, and meanwhile, Kerry has this. It's very disappointing. It's very not great. And although I will say...
It is, for lack of a better term, as we Brits would say, pure shite.
I will say Greg is much harsher on this than I was. Because I
think it's because he knows Kerry's track record really well.
Yeah, Kerry...
And because if we keep watching this, if there's like some allegations of Kerry being favorited by Greg too much.
Yeah. Like, actually, I watched this and I was like, that's a solid third placer. But Greg views it as one of the worst ones he's seen, so it does go into it. Spoiler alert: it will go into last place when he scores it. Next up, we have the man sitting next to
Rod.
Phil Wang, Rod Gilbert, who Rod Gilbert can only ever ever be Rod Gilbert. So Rod Gilbert presents Alex with a metal trash can inside of which is a helmet, safety glasses, and a roll of toilet paper. He instructs him to use the lid of the trash can as a shield and stand inside it at the far end of the caravan. Rod Gilbert then spears the task through a javelin and throws it through the door of the caravan so hard it goes out the other
side of the caravan.
Which... I think the best part of this is that Alex genuinely has no idea what is going on and is genuinely scared when the javelin abruptly enters the caravan. It is très magnifique, as the French would say. I do really enjoy this one. This one, when I watched this, I was thinking about what I would do, and I watched what Rod did, and I was thinking what I would probably end up doing, if they let me, would be basically cut the caravan in half while Alex was in it, and with giant circular saws, and then as the caravan falls apart, present it to him. And if they wouldn't let me do that, it would have to be some sort of police raid on the caravan. At the end of it, present Alex with the task. But
what I would do is I would put on a fancy suit, like a James Bond suit, and the Taskmaster house surely has a green screen room or something.
Mm-hmm.
Because we've seen it before. What I would do is I would record a separate piece of footage in front of this green screen where I'm walking away from a bunch of explosions, James Bond style, and then it just cuts to me casually walking up to the caravan and giving Alex the thing.
Yeah. Right. And then
anyway,
up next we have an undriven
James
wheel
A.
that is
Costa.
designed to be attached to the bottom of a larger object to enable that object to be moved. It's a caster. And so James, on the other hand,
he gets everything immediately.
He gets everything he asked for, and he gets including music. So James starts out with music
and a cameo to rival Sharknado.
Yeah, I'd say it's anything. Not watching television is better than Sharknado, but
what would be a great thing that has amazing cameos?
Probably the many times that Al has shown up in Taskmaster since.
No, not Task. Doesn't matter. One of the greatest cameos known to mankind.
Shit, man, I don't know. But
anyway, we get,
anyways, what happens here?
A production crew member dressed as Santa, who, honest to God, looks like he's having the time of his life.
Yeah, he apparently was dancing in Kerry's thing too, and he danced better here, much to Kerry's irritation. But it starts out with music playing. James then knocks on the door, Alex goes out of the caravan, and then James pulls a string. And I really wish that he'd pulled the string about 2 seconds earlier, because there's a box of confetti on the roof of the caravan that he pulls down, and it bumps Alex on the back of his shoulders as it falls down. And if he'd been about a half step behind, it would have landed squarely upside down on his head. Which I really wish...
You can't have it all.
I really wish that had happened. There's a dancing Santa. There's fireworks going on behind the statue of Ollie the Knight that we saw in the last one. And then...
James and Santa are losing their minds dancing.
Yes, and then...
you should see it on 2 times the speed. It's even funny because James is...
goodness. And then, of course, we get a... and then we get the task delivered by... former Taskmaster alum and current model for eye protection safety signs, Richard Osman, who delivers the task, says his own name into the camera, and then disappears into the night.
Yeah, he just pieces out.
It's really good. It's really good. Kerry does complain that she doesn't get fireworks, but
the fact that postman was not Al Murray makes me genuinely surprised.
I guess maybe one
was Al Murray.
Maybe it was the one day that Al had something else to do. But anyways, Kerry is annoyed because she wanted fireworks and could not get them. Apparently, they were given an hour to an hour to prep this before they did this. And Kerry apparently asked for fireworks at the end of the hour as opposed to James asking for everything beforehand. Also, apparently the fireworks could be done. They made some special note of it being November 2nd, which is near enough to fireworks night, I guess.
Yeah,
or bonfire night.
Fireworks were being quite high demand at that point.
Yeah.
Although it's such a dead holiday now.
I don't know enough about it to comment, but
anyway, I think it's just because it's a holiday that celebrated the burning of a human being live. So the concept of fireworks is sort of just whenever.
Yeah.
Whenever it's a clear, unraining night.
Yeah.
For a random special occasion. That's sort of what it's come to now.
Yeah, and then next up we have...
They have them a lot around Diwali, obviously.
Next up, we have Jess Knappett, who has a hot...
Jess has started really interesting because she just appears the fuck out of nowhere.
Yeah, and she has a hot air balloon, which is, in actuality...
Well, not a hot air balloon.
It's
many balloons.
She wanted a hot air balloon. She couldn't get a hot air balloon. So instead, it's 20 or 30 balloons attached to a hat that is upside down. It's a straw hat, so it looks like a wicker basket, inside of which is the task and a little action figure of Alex that drops down out of the sky on a rope that she's holding.
Alex wishes he has the skin complexion of very little Alex Horn.
And delivers the task to Alex. And then the balloon just slowly drifts away into the distance. It apparently looked a lot better in Jess's head, which I can believe.
The first spectacular thing ever to utter complete silence from an audience. I think that's
to elicit complete silence from...
Elicit, that's the word.
And then finally we are given Phil Wang, who, you know when he goes last, something bad happened, which is Phil had a younger member
American
of the production...
celebrity Taylor Swift appears.
It is not American celebrity Taylor Swift.
This is our new acronym. ACT, American Celebrity Taylor Swift.
Of course it is. But anyway...
So ACT tells Alex that there's going to... I don't know what she said. She just...
It's a production assistant wearing a Taylor Swift mask who...
What are you talking about? It was ACT.
Who opens the window to the caravan and now introduces herself as Taylor Swift. And
ACT,
then...
American Celebrity Taylor Swift. That we have to do this with every character.
No.
We did it with Mfok. We did it with...
This one is not a good enough joke for it to stick. I'm gonna be real. It wasn't a great joke. In Phil's attempt, the better joke...
I think we should call this episode ACT.
The better joke is Phil's Wang bouncing up and down inside his too tight jumpsuit in slow motion as he runs down the driveway to deliver.
Please don't. As if we'd already seen enough of Phil's Wang, we see even more of it.
We do have to see quite a lot of it. It is in slow motion. I don't know what possessed him to wear this. We've been through this literally every episode we talk about this. But he runs up, the task is folded into a paper airplane, and he throws it through the window where it's spectacularly bounces against the side of the window and lands on the couch next to Alex. It's really not great. Opening up the task reveals that from its
At
paper
least he
airplane
tried,
form,
unlike Kerry.
yeah. Well, Kerry tried. Like, I'll get into this in a second.
Phil
but anyway,
tried too.
But anyway, Phil, when you unfold his paper airplane, is the task with FU Acaster written on it. FU James Acaster, because apparently this was filmed very early in Phil's block of tasks. And so he thought there might have been, that there was going to be like a feud between him and Acaster that just he forgot about. So this is like a remnant of the feud. But yeah, that didn't happen. And then that is everything. Greg, unsurprisingly,
James,
what?
I was gonna say the scores.
Oh, I was gonna say
We need to coordinate this better.
I'll coordinate. You do the scores on the next task, which you're presenting. But Greg gave Kerry last place. Phil got fourth. Jess third, Rod second, and James Acaster first. Do we want to do the Taskmaster Joe drop?
If you have any objections, sure.
It's the Taskmaster and his name is Joe and he's gonna tell us what we should know. It's Taskmaster Joe.
Okay, go for it.
So, first place, Rod Gilbert, because that is insane and it should be celebrated. James Acaster gets second because, I kind of thought the fireworks weren't doing a lot, but it's really good from the perspective of everybody else. I'm going to give Kerry and Phil both third place because they weren't actually that bad. Like, everybody wants to say that they're bad, but they're really not. I mean, if you walked out of something and there was a, albeit shittily planned, or dollar store Busby Berkley musical going on outside, you'd at least think it was interesting. And the same thing with, masked person professing themselves to be Taylor Swift, heralding the arrival of a paper airplane with a bizarre note on it is, at least interesting. And then Jess's is fourth because it was...
You mean fifth?
No, fourth. There is no fifth. None of them are bad. Jess is just thoroughly underwhelming. It's just thoroughly underwhelming but you can still, again, if somebody delivered you something via a cluster of balloons, I'd at least think that was interesting.
This episode is moving painfully slow. I think we should keep going.
I think we should too. We are not moving.
VT Task 2.
We're only at 38 minutes. Oh, but by the way, there was a adapted version of this task in Season 1, Episode 2 of Taskmaster Portugal.
Okay.
So,
VT Task 2. Make as many white circles on the target as possible. You must not step beyond this rope. You must not move this rope or the target. You have 5 minutes. In Phil's case, 20. Your time starts now. So,
this is the first mass team task.
Yes. Thank you for doing my job for me. Like Joe said, this is the first mass team task. Can't keep his mouth shut. It was Phil against the other four. And whoever had the most got 5 points each if you were on the team. If Phil got the most, he got 5. So we'll talk about the team first. There's not really a lot to say about most of them. James just sort of threw some white powder. Kerry splattered yogurt. Rod threw yogurt as well. Then made circles within the target by throwing table tennis balls. Pretty smart things. Jess.
I would like to make a note about what Rod did, which is this is an exchange between Rod and Alex, which is Alex asks, "What's the plan with this?" As Rod is scrabbling at the plastic cover on a pint of ice cream. And then Rod goes, "Oh, you'll see," and immediately throws the pint of ice cream at the target. Like not even
obliterates
a
it.
second later, just as like overhand hurls this open pint of goopy ice cream at the target. It's hilarious.
That's fair enough. But Jess is the one to talk about the most because she didn't realize or forgot there was a time limit, and all she managed to do was make one long stick in the time. So she only made 0 circles. So the other 3 made 42 combined. So Jess was essentially a handicap, but still.
Yeah. Can I also make a note that the theme they had playing while the 4 of them went at it, I've never heard it before, but it's a very lovely little musical number.
Okay.
But it's very nice. It might be the first time it's been in here, but it was quite nice.
Phil, what Phil does is he gets jars of whipped cream and mayonnaise, and there's a very unfortunate use of the slow-mo where while Phil is spraying the mayonnaise onto the target, he keeps it at crotch height, and as we know, Phil's wang is
I like how you think
anything
that this
but
was
little.
Anything other than intentionally planned. I mean, you have to get.
Taskmaster.
You
Taskmaster
have to
does
get
these
the
things
money
intentionally.
shot first of all, and
in
second
Champion
of all,
Champions, they had the bouncing leaf blower at crotch height for Josh Whittaker.
how appropriate it is that Wang is shooting white liquid.
Don't say that ever again.
So you can say all the wildest shit that makes me like go what the fuck, Emerson, but someone who usually is playing the prude here, cannot say anything. I see how this is.
That's my role on this podcast. Your role is the one who just can't shut up.
Mm-hmm. Keep going.
Okay. You're gonna interrupt me, aren't you? Okay. He's probably gonna bellow something down the microphone, so I'm just gonna turn my volume down. So the 5 of them get 5 points each, and the 4 of them, sorry, get 5 points each, and Phil gets absolutely nada.
Did you say how many dots Phil did?
Oh, he got 38.
And then there's also a good exchange where Phil tries to complain by saying y'all and says y'all while he's complaining, and Alex immediately just picks up on it and says, it's like I thought
he channeled his inner American.
Says, well, wall did count, and no, which is not how you use
wall y'all
that conjugation. But anyways, there is no adapted version of this task. I assume they came up with this task on the spot once they realized what Phil looked like.
Fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
There's one task left, and honestly, this is quite a fun one.
It is. This one I really liked this one. So cheer up, this former traffic warden. You have 20 minutes. Your time starts now. So we are introduced to a miserable-looking old Scottish man named Jeff. He is from Campbelltown in Scotland. He is a former traffic warden, and he is, to quote him at the moment, I have a view on the world that's not particularly good. Now, this is in the caravan, so you do get to have the across-the-table interaction, which we get with perpetual ball of sunshine, Jess Knappett, who just sort of stares in the most defeated and horrified way for a moment as he says this, as like you can see like she has to mentally figure out what the fuck this man just said. I want to use that as the thumbnail. It's for this because it's just her staring. It's like you can see that like she has no idea how to respond to this. But we start.
I'll do my best.
We start off with Kerry and Phil together, although I'm not really sure why. Because
if
for
you're
the
happy
first,
and clap your hands.
But for the first time in the entire for the first time in the whole show, Philly Wang actually does good. He shockingly enough for a comedian, he makes jokes. Jeff says that he is from Campbelltown, And Phil immediately makes a joke about there being a lot of soup there, which is where the title of this episode comes. Immediately gets a laugh. Greg will later say that he would have bet the lives of many important people that joke would not have landed, but it landed great.
Whoa.
And then
that's such a thing to say, especially to someone making a bad joke.
Yeah, and then Jeff says that his former boss called him a Philistine, and Phil immediately comes back with an "I'm Philip Wang," which again gets a laugh, and more or less,
someone's popular.
More or less, he just kills it immediately. So it's very interesting how well it works. Then
Indeed.
Then excuse me. Then Kerry, meanwhile, is the exact opposite. Kerry is just not getting it at all. Kerry is just not getting anything out of Jeff. As Greg will point out, she seems like she's actively annoying him, and like she tries to tickle him at one point, and he says, and she's like, maybe your knees are ticklish, and he goes, I've got bad knees, and so she tries to tickle his knees, and it doesn't work. She tries to sing "If You're Happy and You Know It," and it doesn't work. So it just did not go well. James Acaster is up next. He actually is doing this with Jess Knappett, but I'll talk about them separately. James decides that roleplay is in order. Why? I don't know. But it's like, where would you like to go? Where would you like to roleplay going? Jeff says Tenerife, which is a Spanish territory in the Canary Islands off the coast of Africa, for anybody who doesn't know. James has Alex play Jeff's wife. The roleplay holiday includes listening to water, drinking champagne, which Jeff thinks is cider, climbing a ladder to represent a mountain, and then finally lying down on a bed of cushions from the couch in the caravan with his wife under a blanket. And at the end of it, Jeff does laugh at the absurdity of it all, although I personally would like to point out the single best timed moment in the entire fucking show, possibly in all of Taskmaster, is...
It's the siren.
Yes, it is. James Acaster has Jeff up on the ladder and is trying to say, you're up on a mountain away from the hustle and bustle of the city and civilization, and a siren is playing in the background, and you think that it is like a sound effect being played afterwards. Like the film crew is the edit people are trying to make it look even more stupid than it is. And then in the background, because Jeff is on the ladder, they have a high up camera looking over the fence. An ambulance drives by, and it's just the perfect timing. I've never, you could plan that and it would seem less authentic. It's amazing. But then we have Jess Knappett, who is still seemingly undergoing psychic trauma from Jeff's perpetual downer attitude. So she tries forced laughter, which doesn't work. She tries to make Jeff to laugh until he actually just starts laughing. Doesn't work. She gets made progressively more and more miserable by this emotional vampire of a man until she realizes that Jeff is a proud enjoyer of Schadenfreude, which is the German word for taking enjoyment out of other people's misery. So she then role plays with Jeff as an angry citizen who has gotten their car impounded by Jeff, the traffic warden, and this makes him happy. After he gives her a fake £125 parking fine, which he quite enjoyed. Then we get the absolute genius that is Rod Gilbert. Rod Gilbert, in doing this, has accidentally solved all mental problems in the world, which is that Rod Gilbert sits down with Rod Gilbert, thinking that this is a timed task, tells Jeff to cheer up, and then Jeff says, okay, Rod goes, "How are you feeling?" "Better." And he just goes, "Stop the clock," and leaves. This is simply stop being sad. I'm sure it will work for some people.
Not for everyone, though.
Have you considered not being depressed? Have you considered not being whatever is wrong with you? Apparently it works. If you're there's there's a very old, God, I don't even remember what show it is. This is from like the 70s. There was a comedy show that I've seen just this clip, which is this woman comes to a therapist she has the fear of being buried alive in a box, and his therapy solution is, "Stop it. Don't be like that, or I'll bury you in the ground in a box." And this is the same vein, and it's great. I love it. So we get the scoring round. Yes.
James and Jeff get 5, Phil 3, Rod 2, Kerry 1.
Taskmaster Joe time.
Oh, for God's sake. Every task in this episode is subjective.
It's the Taskmaster and his name is Joe, and he's gonna tell us what we should know. It's Taskmaster Joe.
Phil and Rod, I'm giving joint first. They achieved it through different means, but it's still great. Jess and James get second because they did it fairly well. Kerry gets 5th place because she did not successfully cheer up this former traffic warden.
I think every time I play the jingle this episode, it just gets a little bit faster.
Sure. And then we have the adapted task.
The final one.
No, there are adapted to. Listen, man. So this is actually one of the adapted tasks. The first variant was in one of the Edinburgh Fringe shows that was cheer up Mark Olver, who is a friend of Alex, who actually had his girlfriend recently split up with him. Apparently various things sent to him was a book titled How to Commit Suicide Ethically by Henning Venn, and then Tim Key deposited various tiny amounts of money into his bank account. Somebody else gave him his favorite burger, and it's still, apparently that did not win, which was very interesting. And then the other variation was in then obviously there was this one, season 7, episode 5 of Taskmaster UK, and then Busby Test season 4, episode 7 was the other one. So we've got those dealt with. And then finally on to make yourselves appear as large or as small as possible. I loved this task. It's
mine to talk about.
I know. I love this task. I love forced perspective jokes. They're so funny.
Okay, so the way they introduce this task is great. Well, first of all, James again doesn't say hi to Alex, and the Phil and Rod ask him why he doesn't. Yeah, and he just says, "Don't do it."
Because this is the he didn't say anything. Also, this is have the rest of the group tasks been the boys versus the girls? I can't remember.
In this series, yes, they're all the same.
I forgot,
but they've established that this series is the first ever boys v girls team tasks, and they don't really change the teams mid series. I mean, the paint task, the white spots task doesn't really count as changing teams.
Yeah.
But I think one thing to note is that for the girls, the task is very close to the camera, but it looks like it's positioned. But it looks like it's positioned on a stool next to them because of perspective.
And it's very tiny. It's a very tiny task.
Yeah. For the similar thing is to the boys, except the task is larger and positioned farther away from the camera, but it still looks like it's about in the same position as it was with the girls.
I love that gag. I love how it is. There's a great scene in an old movie called Top Secret where there's a guy who just walks up to a phone to answer it, and it looks, and as he gets closer, the phone is just enormous. I love that. I love forced perspective jokes.
They've got 20. They have to make themselves look as little or as big as possible. They have 20 minutes. I love how with most of the more recent tasks, the type of what the sort of theme the task is foreshadowed in how it's delivered.
Okay.
You don't agree?
No, I'm sorry. I got a text message right as you said something. I didn't hear what you said.
You'll hear it back in the edit.
Well, could you just say it? Because I definitely am.
I love how the sort of theme or type of task they usually are is foreshadowed in the way the task is handed to the contestants.
Yes, I do. I'm sorry. I totally.
So, Alex introduces the men in a weird way. It's the ones with the shorter life expectancy, and it wanted a weird reaction from me. I don't know, but that's a weird way to introduce a group of people. Joe?
Yeah. No, I'm sorry. I got a text from work like all of a sudden. So I was just responding to that. I thought you were going to keep on talking for like another 10 seconds.
Well, Alex introduces the team that way, even though I think the life expectancy for men has, in the UK at least, has gone up a little bit since this episode came out.
Yep, probably.
But don't quote me on that. But here's what they did. There's 3 flower pots laid out in a row, close to the camera.
Mm-hmm.
And Alex lifts up the farthest flower pot on the right from the camera. If you're looking down the camera, and tiny little James is under it, and he looks up and Alex says, "Hello, Alex."
In a tiny voice.
Alex does the same with the far left one, and a tiny little Rod is under there, to which he says, "Hello, Alex," in his little Welsh accent. And Alex goes to pick up the middle plant pot, and hoping to see Phil under there, but Phil is not there. Alex looks up, and there is a giant Phil Wang with a giant megalodon poking through his shorts. Well, it's not out, obviously. That would be a horrific image.
But, okay. You're just going to pause there? Okay.
I'm expecting you to say something.
Well, no, you yelled at me over interrupting, but no, it's there's also the thud, 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 thud. And
he says,
also,
fee, fi, fo, Phil.
Fee, fi, fo, Phil. I love that. Also, best acting I have seen Alex do in a while is the scream as Mega Phil steps on him in his.
Mega Phil would be a good title. Although Phil's had too many already had one episode title.
So there's 10 episodes. We can do that.
Upper Twaddlington was so good.
Oh, then we should do that. Upper Twaddlington upon Fuckwit. But anyways, I did love that. And then I loved what the girls did as well. This was just such a good task.
Speaking of the girls, so Jess, the cameras are positioned so Jess and Kerry look massive and relatively small, or Kerry looks normal size, respectively, or something. It could be interpreted however. Jess is abnormally tall, Kerry is abnormally short. It doesn't really matter. But they passed various objects to each other, so like hula hoops and rubber duck.
So
and
Kerry,
portrait of Greg.
So tiny Kerry hands large Jess. Actually, normal Kerry hands large Jess a soccer ball, which turns into a miniature soccer ball in the perspective thing, which actually you can see in the white circles task. Either Jess or Rod had it at one point as one of their circle making implements. I think Jess grabbed it and then couldn't do anything with it, but it showed up earlier this episode. Then Jess handed down a bangle, which turned into a hula hoop. Then Kerry handed up a giant rubber duck, which turned into a tiny rubber duck. And then Jess handed down a tiny picture of Greg, which turned into the gigantic picture of Greg that hangs on the wall in the main living room, which then almost crushes.
And Kerry's asleep
Kerry,
under it,
which almost crushes Kerry.
You love doing my job, don't you?
I like talking. You should.
So I just quit the podcast, and it's just you.
You should talk more.
It's hard for me to talk when we record these quite late in the evening, and I'm tired.
Drink. Wake up. Do what Rod Gilbert said. Wake up more. Or drink 9,000 espressos. Live on coffee, as I sometimes do.
9,000 espressos.
Drink so much coffee, your heart explodes.
9,000 espressos would be a good episode title as well.
Simply move to the United States and do this in a time zone that is more appropriate for me.
Why don't you move here?
Because I don't want to.
A country that's only covered by one time zone.
Because
I don't have to worry about anything.
Because I have watched British news on my television for many years, and at no point have I ever seen anything that makes me want to live there.
I've not seen a lot of stuff that makes me want to live in America.
America's better.
But the scores are: the boys get 3, the girls get 2. I hope you don't have any objections to it.
I do.
Oh, for great.
I think they should both tie. It was very good.
That you can't. He has to give up 5 points. So although
no,
half points have been given out.
The Taskmaster is God. I think they both should just get 3 points. If we're giving out 3 points, if we're giving out like 3 points to the winners, I think they all should get 3.
I'm not adding the Taskmaster Joe theme.
You should do it, but it's like just really fast forwarded.
All right, now the live task.
Yes, this one's real.
I want to just say, I swear to God, if you make this longer than it's meant to be, I will buy a plane to Ohio, the most fucked up state in America.
No, it's not.
I will come round.
No, it's not even close. You think that Ohio is fucked up just because you saw one article in the BBC or something like that. You ain't seen fucking shit. Try Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, Texas, fucking anywhere in the South. Holy mother of God. Those places are actual lunatics. But anyways,
but first, the
task brief. They are standing on the stage. They have all been given hard hats. It is again a team task. It is the first live team task on the stage.
Imagine this was the episode you went to see, and the only time the contestants did something on physically in person on stage. It's over before you know it.
This task was very short enough that I'm going to mention something about the last test that I forgot to do, which is that the larger small task had an adapted version in Les Maîtres du Jeu, which is the Quebecois Taskmaster, episode 10 of season 1, which aired last November. It was also in that one specified that the contestants had to both appear as large and small as possible. Now, continuing on to this one, they are in front of the audience. There is a hanger, a giant hanger hanging in the stage,
like a coat hanger,
specifically one of the wooden ones you use to hang like your dress jackets on. And the task brief is as follows: taking it in turns, each team must dangle one of these items on the hanger. A different member of the team must dangle each time. Once you've touched one of the items, you must dangle it, and you must dangle with 20 seconds of the previous dangler. The team who doesn't cause the items on the hanger to fall wins. TLDR: if you you've got to hang something on the hanger's bar, and if you break it, you lose. That's it. So first up to go is Jess Knappett, because Jess has been wearing a denim overall getup the entire time, and so
that reminds me, she looks like what's her name? Rosie the Riveter.
A little bit.
We Can Do It woman.
Yeah.
She had the headband as well.
Yeah, a little bit. So she as she looks the best in the hard hat, she goes first, which means the girls go first. She picks up a mesh bag full of heavy objects. I don't know what they are. Hangs it on there.
I think it's marbles or something.
Probably. It's a big bag, so I don't know. Maybe it's whatever it is.
Larger marbles.
It doesn't matter. The bar bends in the middle, but it doesn't fall. Up next, we get Phil Wang, who is not showing off most of his genitalia in this episode, and in this part of the episode, who picks up a briefcase, and he will say afterwards that apparently he thought that the heavy items had been disguised to look as light ones and vice versa, because that seems like something Alex would do. So the instant he picks up a very heavy briefcase, he realizes this was incorrect, but he's now stuck with it. He hangs the briefcase on the rod. The rod breaks immediately. and well, actually, the rod bends so far it comes out of the side of the hangar, and it both fall to the ground. The boys lose, the girls win.
And they do like fuck you dances to the boys.
And they do, and this task was called an anticlimax, even by like Greg and everyone else. So then we
also Greg correctly predicted that Rod would make a fat joke about him.
Yes, Rod did make a fat joke about Greg.
That was probably the most exciting thing about this task.
That it was. And then so we go on. Oh, I think they're also all wearing boots, like steel-toed boots that they've been given by the production staff. Anyways, moving on. The boys get no points. The girls both get 5. This pushes Jess Snappet into the lead. Jess Snappet wins the episode. Oh, online,
she and Kerry are also in joint first place.
Yeah, online, it says it's a sack of fruit. So it was fruit in Jess's bag. Yeah. So anyways, anyway, Jess Snappet wins the episode. Jess Snappet then goes up on stage and inspects all the various prizes that she's now won. She picks up the weird melted castle thing that Greg gave to Rod's wife, that Rod gave to Rod. Rod's wife gave to Rod, and Rod put up, and she immediately drops it and shatters it.
Oosh.
Possibly on purpose. But
I'd do it on purpose. Anyway, that is the halfway point of the series.
When are we coming back?
We'll be taking I'd say in 3 weeks, maybe.
Okay.
I think the most ideal date for us to return, like to record again, would probably be April 11th.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to go.
Yes, go to sleep. I'll share this with you. Goodbye, everybody.
Right. See you in a bit, guys.
Bye.
Bye.